No one tells us what to do anymore. We can just do things on our own. And I think that that is very wonderful and subversive. And everyone should take advantage of self-publishing.
And inefficient too.
Yeah, right. Because if you have a book to write, it's your work. You care about it. You put your heart and soul into it. So there's no reason that anyone should tell you that you aren't allowed to share it with people. So self-publishing platforms are a really great way to make sure you can share your work and share it in a way where it doesn't lose any of its integrity based on somebody else's opinions, except for mine. These are some examples of Nan's work. These are her 3 books that she has self-published through CreateSpace. If you want to pass these around.
Those, I think, are all proof copies.
Yeah, so this one might be a final. CreateSpace is a self-publishing software that is online and it's hosted by Amazon. It's free to use. It's free to create your content. It's free to upload it. It's free to put it on Amazon. The way CreateSpace makes their money back and a little bit extra from printing your book is they charge kind of a commission. So every copy of your book that is sold, either hard copy or electronically, CreateSpace and Amazon, they take a cut of that. As with any software, there are features that you can pay for, but you don't have to. So the best thing to do is to have your work in an electronic word processor already. Microsoft Word is, of course, always the easiest, most compatible thing to use. But it's not impossible to do it on in other programs. Once it's in Word, you can edit it, you can make your work look the way you want the book to look. Save it as what's called a PDF, which is a file type it doesn't change when it goes to another computer, so it stays the same, it maintains the way it looks. Put that up on CreateSpace. You go through a proofing process, first electronically, to check and make sure everything looks good. Then you say, okay, CreateSpace, out of my hands, time for you to tell me what to do. Then after about 24 hours, CreateSpace will tell you if your file is good enough to print, if the picture quality is good enough, if all of the headings and the page numbers.
Is she going too fast?
Am I going too fast?
No.
Okay, let me say about her biggest accomplishment is having sent in 3 books that she has arranged, and CreateSpace accepted all 3 right away. As far as the layout is, because the layout at the top of each page, there's
Headers. Headers that are different on the left and the right, and they have to begin on page 1, and there's all kinds of requirements, but she's on top of them. Well, the good thing about CreateSpace is it is made for people like you, people who have just written their own works and they don't really know anything about publishing yet, might not be incredibly computer literate, so there are lots of blog postings and directions and things to help you through the process. Once you have your file up there electronically, you can, if you want to, for cost, order a proof copy, which is what Nan does. Because sometimes it's easier to go through, actual physical paper and find errors and change things you want to change. I am so sorry, Patricia. Am I in frame? Am I good?
It's not that. It's Nan.
Well, let Nan worry about it.
You don't have to order the proof copy though if you don't want to. You can approve it electronically for free. Then once it's up on Amazon, you can put it up as a Kindle book and a hard copy book. And someone can buy just one single copy. And these days, it's affordable for printers to print just one copy of something. Back in the old days, they had to set their printers up for one book. They would print 500 copies, and that was kind of a minimum order. But just one copy is fine. That's why this is an affordable thing that people can do. CreateSpace is the only self-publishing platform that Nan and I have worked with, but I know there are others. What was Lulu is one of them?
Yeah, I think all of them cost now, as far as I know.
But what we found in researching all of the others is CreateSpace is the most affordable in that largely it's free, except for the commission for each copy of the book you sell. And it's easy to use, and there are a lot of people that have been using it, So if you have a question, there are people you can ask, and their technical department is pretty responsive if you have a question. So the way I can help, I'm pretty good with Microsoft Office packages, and I know enough about CreateSpace to get you started. Now, I've been working with Nan on and off for about 2.5 years, but that's because she just won't stop writing books. I can teach you how to use the basics of CreateSpace in a lot less time than that, just a few hours to show you how to get logged in, how to make your profile, how to get something uploaded, and how to find answers to your questions. But I can also, if you're the kind of person that maybe doesn't like to work with the little finicky parts of Word as much, I can help with those kind of things. Or I can be a copy editor, anything that you need.
Is there a requirement as far as the margins and the spacing and so forth before you put it up? Or can you
She can do that. It's on the computer, but she knows how to work it.
There is, so it's based on the length of the book. So, excuse me while I go off camera for a moment. Fallout is a much thicker book than Shattered Boundaries. So the margins on a thicker book like this have to be a little farther in. They have to be wider margins all around. A thinner book can have kind of narrower margins. But CreateSpace, again, very helpful. They have a chart that just tells you if your book is in this range of pages, these are the margins you need to maintain. And in our experience, that doesn't include the header. Like this Shattered Boundaries was set at 0.5 margins all around, and then the header is above that, but it's still printed.
But you submit it on 8.5 by 11 sheets, and it has to be reduced. Is it simply reduced, or?
CreateSpace has a certain number of formats you can select. Nan has always gone with 6 by 9, so you have to choose out of the the 4 sizes available, and then you need to set your word processor to type at that size page, and then it won't have to be reduced. It'll look exactly as you typed it.
Okay.
Is this at createspace.com? Is that how we find it?
I think it's .org, right?
Huh?
Createspace.org. CreateSpace, all one word. I think it's
It might
.org.
be calm.
It might be common. If you Google Amazon CreateSpace, it'll take you there. This is the age of Google.
How much is one copy that you would buy to proof, roughly? Estimate.
Let's see, it was Time Wrinkles, I think, was about $4 a copy, wasn't it? Your proof copy of Time Wrinkles?
Something like that, but.
So it's a lot cheaper than what you will be selling it for eventually.
The proof copy is for the author, not, because they've already accepted the formatting and everything really important for the book. Then they send a proof copy so I can send it back and change the spelling of something, and then if I change something, they want me to proof it one more time that yes, it's just right. And
Every time you change something, you have to completely take down
the
your
next
interior
day
file and
it's
bring a new one
listed.
up.
I think the same day I got
You're
it's
changing it
listed.
online?
Yeah, so everything is online. It's cloud storage, which can be kind of scary for some people, but the trick is to just always keep your most current copy on your computer. And the way Nan and I do it, the copy that we're using currently, we just call it Shattered Boundaries, use this one. And that, that keeps things in line. I should mention a little bit about the cover. These covers were professionally designed by someone Nan works with named Chiquita, who lives in Texas. CreateSpace does have a free little cover builder that you can use online. They also do have a professional service that they charge for, so you always have to be careful to make sure you're not accidentally clicking on something that's going to cost money.
And all the pictures in all the books are public domain and free.
So pictures, these in Fallout, all of the pictures are journal drawings from Nan. So we just scanned these in at the library and then kind of edited them with Microsoft Word to make them, if we had to, make them just two-tone or whatever. They turned out okay. Could I see Time Wrinkles really quickly? CreateSpace told us the pictures weren't high enough quality to print, but we looked at it, we thought it looked okay, and it went to the printer and it was fine. It probably just wasn't the way a professional quality would be, DPI or whatever. These pictures in Time Wrinkles are pictures that we got off of the internet. They are license-free pictures, but we also took the time to cite them in the front page of the book. We just wrote down the websites where we got each of them to avoid any kind of messy domain situation.
Show them the strife. The strife. This was so much fun picking page drawings out of public domain. It was so much fun.
I think Nan had more time picking the pictures than she did writing any of the poems.
How would they do if
That's
you
okay
had,
if you can't find it.
Shannon, if you had original art, I mean,
That's straight. Some of hers would be original.
paintings or watercolors, things like that, just,
Original art by you, the author.
yeah, or by, I'm thinking more of my nieces and nephews than me. I can't even draw water, but,
As long as you had permission from the artist,
yeah,
you're allowed to use the picture.
okay.
And the best thing to do is on this copyright page to say something like interior art by such and such, if they, and maybe give their website if the artist wants to be advertised. So if you have a painting or something that's too big to scan in or isn't easy to scan in, then you might have to have somebody help you take a picture of it and save an electronic version of it that way. And printing the interior in color does cost more per book than doing a black and white interior.
And it used to be looked down on to self-publish. But the agents in publishing houses have been so slow in responding, and if you're over 40, I'm not sure you're going to live long enough for them to even read it. I never had any of them be willing to read it even. So,
And the good thing about CreateSpace is, since it is hosted by Amazon, you really don't have to worry about distribution unless you want to get it into some bookstore or libraries, because it'll automatically put it up on Amazon, and you can select to have it go international as well as nationally.
don't expect to make money on it. I think July's royalties were $6 and
Hey, that's more than zero, though. That means somebody bought a book.
and I can't push my work. I have this little failing as far as money is concerned, so I just haven't done anything really, except we've started a blog, a WordPress blog.
nanmichael.com. Everybody check it out, like it, share it with your friends on Facebook.
And Facebook, so that's the main way.
Shannon, if I were to go to an Ohio Poetry Association gathering, which I often do, and I wanted to take some books to sell, how would I arrange to get those?
I think you would have to order them off of Amazon and then resell them. And I don't think there's any issue with that. People buy and sell books all of the time.
So would I pay for them when I order?
Yeah, so it would be as if you were a merchant. You would pay the seller, which is Amazon, for bulk copies or whatever, and then you could resell them with a 40% markup if you wanted to, or resell them for just enough to cover your gas to the conference or something like that.
Okay.
Can you publish
Do you
hardback?
suggest putting a price on the book, having a printed price on the book?
Having the price physically
Right, yeah.
on the book?
You can pick the price.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, would that be a suggestion?
As long as you're going to stick with it, I think that you could probably fit it, because you can design the cover any way you want, so you could probably fit it over the barcode or something. The thing is, you might want the price to be flexible. If it's not selling very well, or if you want to promote it for a couple months or
Okay.
something, you can
Okay.
change information about your book at any time. Since it's online, you can just log in, change the info, and it's switched within a few hours.
Did anybody else do that?
Only someone with the login to your CreateSpace account. So as long as you keep that information secure, you'd be all right.
I have a website I found was hacked,
Right.
and some information put on there which was rather uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. The internet That's always a possibility. The best thing to do is to keep your account information on paper, never in your computer, and change it every couple of months.
They're very attractively presented.
Yes, they are.
Very
They are.
nice, yeah.
And Nan went with the shiny, glossy cover is what they call it, but you can also get a matte finish.
What about hardbacks?
The Little River Journal.
I don't think,
Pardon?
The Little River Journal.
I don't know if
Miami.
hardback is an option or not. Nan, do you
I
remember?
used to live right there, Little
Yeah.
River.
I'm not sure.
Really?
Nan, do you remember if hardback has ever been an option?
Little River.
Pardon?
Do you remember if hardback has ever been an option for the books? I know you've always gone with paperback. but-
Hardback is more, I don't remember how much more,
Okay,
but
so
I
it's an
wasn't
option, but it costs more.
interested in that. One thing is that, my memory's coming and going.
North Dade Journal?
Oh, if you want to really feel good, go to pick out the title that you want to use. And go to Create Space and put down your title. And right then they give you a barcode.
They give you the ISBN
And you
number.
can just wait until you get stuff to put it in there.
Wow. So you get the feeling of it starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one
Great.
I have one book that I've never written, and I guess I won't, but it's
That's
still
how
on
Nan
there.
goes. She just stacks up the titles and then gets to the books later. And Shattered Boundaries, in case you're wondering, is the first in a series about, what's that called? Astral projection.
Kind of.
Kind of science fiction fantasy stuff.
And at the very end of it, I decided I would try a, what do you call it? More than one book.
A series.
Yeah.
Series.
Yeah, series. And so I put down to the very last sentence is, let's see what's around the next bend.
Such a cliffhanger.
Okay, does anyone have any more, in 2 years, if you wanted to come back, she can, but
What's the turnaround time?
It's all dependent on you. The only time requirements from CreateSpace are that after you submit that first file, it's 24 hours until they say whether or not you can put it on Amazon, and then it's just as fast as you can proof it and approve it and get it up there. Once you say, I completely approve my book, please put it on Amazon, I think they say it's 24 hours until it's up there, but it's been a lot quicker.
this one went faster than that.
Yeah.
And then if you have had something published beforehand, in another journal, you have authors' control over it, that's not a problem for CreateSpace. I can say previously printed in.
Yeah, that's how Nan's got around that. She just said previously printed in Grab a Nickel or Pickin' Fleas or whatever.
Okay. I'll probably
Okay.
have 1,000 questions once you leave.
That's great. You have my contact information. My cell phone number is call or text, and that is my university email just because it's great to have an email address and I still use it, even though I graduated a few years ago. So feel free to contact me with any questions at all. I can work for free if it's just a few hours to show you CreateSpace because I want to get this information out there. If you wanted to hire me on for a longer term, once a week kind of thing, then rates are negotiable. I have goats, so you could just buy me goat food or something.
Milk and meat.
Just lawn mowing goats, kind of pet goats right now. We might go for the milk thing later, but I don't know. It's kind of
You don't work
gross.
for chicken feed, you work for goat feed.
Right, I do chicken feed too, or pigs.
Did you mention rates at all? No.
I didn't. So Nan pays me $20 an hour, which I think is ridiculous, and
No,
she keeps thinking that's a great thing to do.
It is.
But as I am of my generation and choose to live in Athens, I am one of the people that will work for service trade as well.
Okay.
At the end, just almost at the end, she's worth $5,000 an hour.
Well, why haven't I seen that, Nan? Oh, and I will do on the books for taxes. So if you want to report what you take it off of your income tax, what you pay me, I can do
Did
that.
you give somebody a card?
I gave everybody a card, and there are 3 extras.
Oh,
Did you get a card?
nice, okay.
Yes.
Okay. There are 3
Okay.
extras for the people that weren't able to make it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's
I'll see you tonight.
Do you do editing and proofreading too?
I can. I really am kind of a nerd, and I love to proofread.
Okay.
So, and that's I do prefer that. Like if I can hole up in a corner at my home and do work, I will do that too. But with Nan, we meet at Access every week and work on her computer because that's a lot easier than transferring files and stuff.
Great, thank you.
You need somebody else to proofread.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's.
I don't care
I
how
need
smart
somebody
you
else
are
to
to
You
do
cannot
stuff.
do
Definitely.
Whatever.
Everyone
the
remember
phrase.
you're great writers, and you should totally self-publish. And Nan can help you too. Don't let her tell you she can't, because you know how to work CreateSpace. All right, thank you for letting me come in. I hope you guys all have a great meeting. It was nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Nan. See you tonight.
Yeah, we want to know exactly who's complaining.
I am one of them. And if they want to own up to it, okay. If they want to chicken out and not own up to it.
We don't want to have a whole lot of
Helicopter your poem. Once it gets out there, you can't follow it around and explain everything before people read it. It just, and there, Felix has heard from people who view us online who have complained about these long introductions, these diatribes that do not, they're just not part of the poem.
If you go to a professional poetry reading, you'll see why. The poet will make a few comments prior to most poems, maybe none prior to
Are
some.
we a study group?
Well, we are accumulating fans because I have to tell you, this weekend I heard from somebody who Sunday morning turned on the TV and saw us all, and it was the particular time that, remember, Tom, you brought that poem about from that Jewish website, remember, and we were discussing it. She said the conversation was wonderful, and I was like, thank you.
On a mountaintop, I guess, we are very wise.
The group dialogue I enjoy, and I don't think we want to stifle that, but what I think Patricia's talking about
Yeah.
is one thing. I have a point, but first of all, let me give you 30 minutes of introduction of how I got to it, and what I did, and how I did it.
Well,
and-
The dialogue and the criticism follows the reading of the
Yes.
poem.
Right.
Yeah.
Not-
It's not an introduction to the poem.
Yeah,
I think it's clear.
You can, maybe 4 or 5 sentences if you want to say what prompted you to write the poem, that's okay. I was walking down the road and I saw this duck and it was doing so and so.
How much time am I reading up while you're explaining it?
Yes, well, see, that's it, okay. So, on with this. And
I'm with the poems.
anybody who has a long introduction has to read last.
Okay, show us how to do it. Show us how to do it.
Set the model by starting this off.
This is a poem that comes from a workshop where they were saying that you write about things that happen in your life that you know. So, I've got one more copy here if there aren't enough of them.
Did you all get it over there?
No, people are reading them instead of passing them.
I got one.
Pass them and then read them.
I think we all.
Do you have an extra one?
No.
Okay.
Here's one. But I
Nan
did
doesn't
13
have
copies.
Everybody
Is
have
that-
one?
And Larry doesn't have, Larry,
Share one.
well, we can share.
We can share.
We can share, yeah,
Anyway,
because Sven has a copy.
Yes.
this is called Next Neighbors. Wasn't anything I actually saw, being so young and them living down the hill past the potato field, but I heard about it as a kid, how Mr. Crawford, putting up a flagpole for July 4, let the pole he was holding get away from him over onto the electric line, and sparks flew and he jerked and jerked, and his daughter Dorothea, who used to babysit us, ran to grab him off the pole, and the electric caught her, and she died too,
Oh.
and crippled Mrs. Crawford just inside the window in her wheelchair saw it all.
Wow.
What a friendly poem.
Whoa.
So hopeful.
Is that true?
It's true, except the names have been changed to protect the dead.
I love the way, the fast way you wrote it, and it reads that way. It's like,
So it sounds like a child doing it. Child, you know, the child would blurt out the story and
Yeah,
probably with a little more gory details, I would think probably, but we appreciate the non-gory details.
This is like the people that hire themselves out as storytellers. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that- to some extent, that's sort
Yeah.
of what I'm echoing. I would
Yeah.
love to be able to pick up the rhythm that the Irish use when they're telling stories and reading poems and such. I keep thinking my Irish background should come to my help, my assistance, but it hasn't.
They lead you down the jewel trail.
Somewhere.
okay, a field trip to Ireland.
Yeah.
And I've been there. And when I was there, they said, you're Irish in your background. And I said, how do you know? And they said, I can tell by your eyes. You've got the ringed iris, that means you got second sight.
Told us about that.
And I told that to a friend of mine, and she said, does that mean you're double vision? No, I'm double vision. So, but I'd like to go back. Shall we?
Yes,
Plans?
we should do
Maybe we can do a group trip.
Yes.
This is one of those poems I hope is not true.
It is true. As I say, the names have been changed because I didn't, Mr. Duffner and Aletha, I'm not sure they're long gone, but
Right.
still in all.
They're no living to insult.
Probably not, because Aletha was not married and Mrs. Duffner herself has probably died by now. But enough of this, on to the next one.
Yeah, let's go this way.
Which way?
I'm not sure I have enough copies. This is a poem that is old.
It's upside down.
I printed it, well, I have a ghost print, so I'll just leave it like that. My printer has turned into a ghost. And what prompted me to write this poem was I had been downsized from my job back in 2009, and a friend used to come over and sit with me after this housing. It's called Pieces of Easy, natural rhythms of breathing and beating hearts, rivers flowing and emptying into the seas, the autumn land taking on all of its color, while rolled hay rests in cut fields, evening rain, soft music, and Wednesday morning coffee with you. Pieces of easy. Letting go, being with just what is, unencumbering, a quiet moment of meditation with zero thoughts, comfortable conversation that linger long after you've gone. Pieces of easy. A life that has been lived to the point of knowing thyself, accepting thyself, agreeing with the skin that you're in, no desire to remake, redo, or rerun. It is as it should be, pieces of easy. A knowing touch, deeper, kinder, gentler than known before. A lifetime in the palm of a hand that has been earned by living, loving, and being. Pieces of easy. A look that needs no explanation, words that need not be stated because they are transmitted in sync, understood without effort. Pieces of easy. You, my friend, and love of this earthly life are drawing long, beautiful conversations with my heart, those pieces that are easy to touch, hold, laugh, and bring joy. Pieces of easy. And I just say, I put a new printer in this week, and it wouldn't print, and I got up this morning and there were 3 copies.
Is the lack of punctuation intentional?
Well, I don't know. I haven't really looked at this in a long
It
time.
almost looks like,
I think it needs to be revisited.
almost like the print looks almost like a print font, looks almost like, the old hand management of ages past with ink and quill pens.
Yeah, I keep trying to
It looks like
pronounce
Yeah,
it.
the river's flowing.
Some of the things look like Fs that are.
Yeah.
I have trouble with the two thighs.
Okay.
I don't, everything else is you.
Okay.
And then you throw in those two thighs, and it doesn't work for me, but it may work for other people.
Okay.
But,
Well, third stanza is what I'm talking
why
about.
not?
It just, it's a change. And so
it is. I haven't read this for, well, I read this in 2009. I haven't read it probably since 2009.
Because, you know,
I was-
live to the point of knowing thyself, accepting thyself, agreeing with the skin that thou art in now. I mean, it seems to me, but that's just because I tend to.
But that more formal architecture seems to be sort of putting it into a more formalized
Yeah,
sphere.
it's a more biblical
Yeah, and
kind of feel, but then I think the rest of it ought to be more that way.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. But that's just.
Or
my
De Vere.
Well, because I didn't think my printer was going to work, and I did make copies at the library, at the last minute, I thought, I've got to take a poem, even if I can't take my own. And I love Naomi Shiobnai. This is one of her books. Yeah. And so I copied this poem because I thought it was so appropriate for our time.
But I want to say one more thing.
Okay,
I could
sorry.
say a lot more things, though. I think this poem just is warm and beautiful.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's just like agreeing with the skin that you are in. There's so many of the,
It's comforting.
of,
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
even
Or to me it is.
beyond, it's beautiful.
And I think that's why the thy bothers me, is because it's just my own peculiarity.
This is from Naomi Shiobnai's book, You and Yours. She's been to the Logan Festival about, what, 3 years ago?
I think so.
Yeah.
Who's the author?
Naomi Shiobnai. I'll
Pass
pass
the book around.
Oh,
Well, I'm going to read from the book, because I didn't. Yeah, then I'll pass it. This is actually called Cross That Line. Paul Robeson stood on the northern border of the USA and sang into Canada, where a vast audience sat on folding chairs waiting to hear him. He sang into Canada. His voice left the USA when his body was not allowed to cross that line. Remind us again, brave friend, what countries we may sing into, what lines should we all be crossing? What songs travel toward us from far away to deepen our days?
It's an interesting story.
Well, I
Singing across the
I
line.
saw that and I thought of the refugees. So, I don't know. Tough one.
I thought it was scenes in the underground railway.
Why was Robeson not allowed to cross?
I'm not sure. I should have asked her that when she was here.
I know, he was controversial, he had left-wing leanings, and he was judged to be a communist, and
We took away
his passport was seized.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah, there-
he had this unforgettable voice, singing Old Man River and other things. It was a great, big, huge black man. He was a wonderfully talented in theater and film and acting.
And very bright too.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Tragic case of...
a great football player in college.
Yeah, huge
But
guy.
Pete Seeger was at an event where he was singing, which resulted in a riot. There was a gathering of good, true Americans that protested this meeting of socialists or whatever. I don't know if any of you have heard that story. I've read it or heard it several different times. It was one of the big events in the Pete Seeger's family history.
Was Paul Robeson there?
Who is another well-known
Oh, right.
Yeah, and this was before he was as well known as he became, right? Yeah, Robeson was a communist.
This is a work in progress, and unfortunately, you'll see I hand wrote a word because it typed over there where it wasn't supposed to be.
They
This
will
is-
do that.
See, you're
And-
not the only one that has phantom printers.
Yeah. I did follow the suggestions that were given last time, and this is the result. Like I said, it's a work in process. Okay, everybody has one? Fire from above, God's pure, holy fire. Fire, 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 burning, burning, but never is there any destroying. For us it is a fire to inspire, a fire for one to aspire and acquire. Fire unmentionable, fire unquenchable, fire so accessible, fire very approachable, and to all totally available. As a spiritual fire, it burns but does not hurt. It will rid one of dross, so all must be alert. This fire molds, creates, and asserts. It does not divert. God's fire will never subvert. It will assist one to exert. With God's holy fire, the goal is to purify. Our flesh of all its crud, we must crucify. Crucify spiritually, not physically, to identify. This fire works inside us to beautify. Fire, 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 burning, burning, but never is there any destroying. For us it is a fire to inspire, a fire for one to aspire and acquire. There is a storm a-brewing, firestorm is coming. The flame must be fanned, nowhere will it be banned. Firestorm is going across the land, God's Spirit is forthcoming. This is grand. Please, let no one misunderstand. The nations are being filled, the kingdom for us to build, lives to heal and troubles stilled. Empowered, the will of God is fulfilled. Fire, 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 burning, burning, but never is there any destroying. For us it is a fire to inspire, a fire for one to aspire and acquire. Firestorm, you are most welcome here. Show us there is nothing for us to fear. Make it known. The Holy One will bless us to our core. Holy Spirit, give this fire to all who desire. Please put in our hearts a spiritual fire. Firestorm, God's will you fulfill. To all you wish only goodwill. Please, firestorm, do not be still. The nations without God are ill. To them, please give a spiritual pill. God desires none to perish. God desires all people to cherish. Firestorm, labor to make known God's truth. If only people had learned this in their youth, how different would the world we live in be, if only they could hear God's great plea. Fire, 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 burning, burning, but never is there any destroying. For us it is a fire to inspire, a fire for one to aspire and acquire. Firestorm, you may never retire. Through you the world will learn to inquire about the one who freely gave his life so none will expire. May they learn how you this one so admire and never tire.
Is this a dream or science fiction or what? How would you
Now
describe
this is
it?
based on truth. There is actually a ministry by the name of Firestorm, and so.
Oh, it's a movement.
I wouldn't call it a movement. It's not a denomination. It's a ministry, is the proper term for it. It's called Firestorm Ministries International. I am debating whether I want to make it into 2 poems. I had mentioned previously that I'm thinking about making it into a song. I'm debating whether to put some of it as talking about a spiritual fire and another part another one as being directed directly to Firestorm. It's undergone numerous revisions, and I don't know when I'll finish.
Yeah, I would say from a poetic standpoint, and you know, I'm a person who uses a lot of words. I think this is much too wordy. In other words, if you want to get your point across, I would really refine it, perhaps to maybe 4 stanzas, and take the part that you repeat, just repeat it maybe once, maybe at the beginning, at the end, with the other stuff really concentrated in the middle. I found myself, my mind wandering as you were going along, and I wasn't jolted. And you were talking about a firestorm. Well, I felt no fire in me, which I think you can communicate if you use these words succinctly and a lot fewer of them.
Well, that's why I'm saying I think it might be 3 different things. 1, a poem about fire. 2, a poem for Firestorm. And then 3, a song. That's why there's the repetition of that one stanza.
I actually found for the first time ever that the rhyming got in the way.
Really?
Yeah, it was too much, it seemed. Because it forces a certain choice of words that, had you been able to go on to various points, you wouldn't have, if you weren't so intent on the rhyming, you might have been able to go on to make other points about this.
Okay.
Like what it does for you. You know, you've experienced it, you want to share it. What has it done for you? You know, I guess that's where I would.
I don't know what word you said.
Yeah, but
Fire unmeasurable.
You didn't read unmeasurable.
I forget what you said.
But you didn't read it.
I did not?
No.
I am sorry.
Oh, it's okay. But I don't.
Because it is fire unmeasurable.
Yeah, the rhyming.
Get what you said, but.
You
don't have
I
to
didn't
follow,
catch that.
That's all right.
And in the second line of the 4th stanza, you said crud. The word you have is crude.
Well, it's
You need
supposed to
strike
be
the E.
crud.
Yeah, strike the
It's
E.
supposed to be crud, sorry.
And then in the second column, the 1st stanza and the 3rd stanza, break your rhyming pattern.
How's that?
Well, here you have fulfill, will, still, ill, pill, but above that you have hear, fear,
Yeah.
core, desire, fire. And then below it, you've got truth, youth, be, plea. So you're breaking that pattern.
Well, that was for variety. I figured, if I threw in, I had the first in the one that says firestorm, labor to make known God's truth, and then youth, those 2 rhyme, and then be and plea.
Yeah, and I think
So
that's a good idea, but I think instead of just all at once throwing in 2 stanzas like that, if you did that to some of the other
periodically?
stanzas, yeah,
Okay.
I think it would work
And
better.
I think that goes to Ruth's comment too, and that is that, again, I think you're trying to get a message across, and those rhyming mismatches draws my attention to the rhyming and away from the message. So
Okay.
if you stick with a rhyming pattern, people, the me or the listener or the reader will get used to it, and we're not shocked out of it. Say, well, we're attracted to it by the mismatch.
Okay.
You see?
But it kind of scares me. The opposite scares the crap out of me. It's dangerous when too many people get fired up by religion. You can do very bad things in the name of God.
Well, I would tell you, I'm not into religion. Okay, I personally do not like religion. I'm into a relationship, which is a huge
Oh,
difference.
yes. But
We could debate this somewhere.
Right. So, Robin, do you want to?
Okay. First of all, I have to say
Thank you for
that I
being
have
serious.
some issues here. I printed the wrong rendition, so I have quotation marks because that was easier for me to do when I was doing it, and it's not in italics, so no one faint. Okay? This comes from...
Okay, we're coming around.
This poem comes from an experience that I had 20 years ago, and I just loved the story of it so much that I wrote it down, and I've looked at it over those years for a long time to decide what I would want to do with it. And I think I might want to do with it maybe a children's book or something, but this is like in the middle of the place where I'm not sure where I'm going. Okay, that's very clear. Okay. 8 kids, 8 apple trees. My shoes kicked up dust on the lonely ridge road as I walked by a summer-dry, drizzling stream. Abruptly, a boisterous band of kids came. The leader let fly a barefoot biker scream. No pedals or brakes, one hand round a racket. He soared past suddenly as in a dream to a rip-snorting stop. Dirt-cloudy kids gathered quickly around me, taciturn all but accepting the boy, whose words spilled out swiftly at super bike speed. We lost our birdie, so now we hit apples. The big ones go splat, but the small ones go through. We left in the middle of night from Akron, but Mom knew the hilltops and the hollers too. This place has got land for us, no yards with fences. Don't need electric when summer sky's blue. We fry eggs by campfire. There's 5 boys and 3 girls, up stair steps to 10. No shoes for the big kids and mostly no sleeves, excepting on Sunday to make Mom be pleased. This morning, a snake left its skin by the creek. Maybe there's crawdads or fish we can eat, and all of us kids can find pop cans for free, money for marshmallows. In our clearing, the spotted fawns steal apples, sneaking like snow beneath the trees. We climb limbs high to the top, where the mountains are monsters with apple-red eyes and blow-you-down winds. Last year, we moved from one house to another, but this fall we'll go on the school bus with Ken. We already belong here. We're making a go of it. Dad said we'll stay. We're a match with this place. We knew right away. 8 kids, 8 apple trees.
Are these migrant workers?
These were kids in Gladdy, West Virginia, way back in a holler where we were foolish enough to drive and ran out of gas.
Oh my.
So we had to, anyway, but these kids they just came right to us, and the oldest boy was the spokesperson, and they just were so amazingly exuberant that, like, for 20 years I've still looked at these notes that I wrote and wanted to do something with them, but I didn't know what I would do. But such enchanting kids, obviously coming from, probably living in the middle of the night and leaving behind their problems in Akron. But this little boy could put optimism on anybody's face and in their heart. So.
Well, nowadays we're so afraid that we expect them to be challenging you and trying to rob you or murder you. You got
No.
approached by a bunch of kids and you're alone out in the country. I'd be nervous.
You would.
Sending a bunch of kids to
I'm usually pretty much, if there's a gang of kids, I'm in the middle of it. I love to listen to kids
you're an
talk.
insider, huh?
It's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
I like the way you told it. And in that second stanza, taciturn all but accepting the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you need the but?
No, I think that was like, I thought I needed that for the
And I'm not
sound
sure
of
she
it.
needs the ing either.
Yeah, that line isn't, I don't know.
Yeah, you could think about that. And on the next page, the second last stanza, the way you read it was, but this fall we'll go on the school bus with Ken.
Oh,
And I like that.
that was better.
Well, it just seemed to go nicely.
Okay, yeah.
So, but you wrote B. So you might want to think about that one a little more too.
Was there just one kid on a bike or more on a bike?
There was one kid on a bike
Uh-huh.
and a slew of other
Walking.
SIPs,
Okay.
from tiny, you know.
Wow.
A friend of mine that read this suggested that I get out of the story and just start with the boy talking.
Yeah, I was thinking
And
that.
I've tried that, but I can't get the energy going. And somehow I just couldn't get
Yeah.
the pump, you know, of saying this boy arrived, you know, and it was just flying down, you know, and I didn't know how to get that, to get the energy of it. So I just left it this way.
And there's definitely a story here.
Yeah.
Because when I
But you
think
know,
about these people leaving in the middle of the night from Akron and just get up and go and start new and still be positive. And I don't know, you wonder,
people all
there's a
over
story
do
there.
that, Yeah. I thought you were a kid though in the beginning. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that maybe didn't come.
I think that's sort
yeah.
of the feeling too.
Yeah.
But that's not a problem.
I don't think fawns steal apples.
They do.
Are they pruning them?
Apples, they do.
They don't steal them.
Well,
They don't steal them.
they're not. Yeah.
In that second stanza with the taciturn, I think it would read better if it was taciturn all but the boy.
Yeah,
Not except,
that
I
would be
think the
better.
rhythm works better.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Or accept, and that's the part.
No, even with, I think taciturn all except the boy, you've got too many, the feet are wrong. You, all but the boy, I think
Yeah,
that's a better.
alliteration, but
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's.
yeah, I think you're right.
It's a fun story.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing. I had a hard time with this. I was in Chicago and I was just like,
Oh, you're trying to do two things.
Yeah.
Chris, go ahead and
Yeah,
pass your.
and I think you gotta make up your mind,
That's right, enough
which
of
is
it.
the most important.
I know how it is, though, I've got a poem, I've been trying to write, and I just can't get it off the ground.
Yeah, it's just,
And which,
eat up a lot of hours.
Kind of enough then. Sorry, I got.
it's still coming, okay.
Well,
Why don't,
Sorry.
instead of leaving, why don't you take Nan so Mary Ann can read it and then give it back to Nan when you do? Didn't you put one down there for Nan?
One for me.
Yeah, but Mary Ann doesn't have one to read.
Oh, I didn't know she didn't have
Ann's-
one.
yeah,
We
Ann's-
share.
we share.
We're happy
We
to
share.
share. Right, no big deal. I was not noticing what was coming.
I was busy this past week and I couldn't bring forth my newses. So this stuff from back in high school, this is stuff from 30 and 40 years ago. I apologize. Like in haiku, not haiku, yeah, haiku. Yeah, this is what I read last time. The golden morning, shining sweet and freshly green, flashing past, then gone. Reading, music and words, of lightness following, with tympanic rolls of imaginary drums.
I like that.
And picture, this is from a in-class creative writing exercise we had. And back in high school, the teacher handed out a bunch of pictures, and I got a picture of a black man's feet crusted with dirt and age and calluses and stuff. And so this is what I wrote. Picture, cold dead feet lying still in the baking sun, mud-caked, blood-caked, lying still in the sun. Was his death noble or cowardly? Before the firing squad beneath the enemy's hail. Is life still there? Or is it gone? Cold dead feet in a cold dead world, waiting in vain for dawn. And the good cheery poem too. We have to write good cheery stuff. Well, I was also thinking, I'm an old Tolkien fan. read, I had to have it read to me when I was back in, I think, nursery school or first or second grade. I couldn't read which read the big words then. And then I read it again all myself when I was in sixth grade, and I absolutely adore Tom Bombadil. If you ever remember reading the songs of Tom Bombadil that Tolkien wrote, it's something very rocking, very rolly, and rhyming, but not in a forced fashion. And I just love his poetry. I love the poetry of Tom Bombadil. I got a pair of yellow boots too at that new shoe store across the road. I love it. I wear Tom Bombadil boots.
That's
Well,
Just
we just have a shelf with that.
a technical, it's standard in poetry, you don't use quotation marks, you use italic, and you said that you couldn't do that because of your printer problem. Also, it's standard with haikus, they do not have titles.
Okay. Tyler, but that's not like you always yell at me for titling my poems. So you forced me to do this. Against my will.
Are they 13 syllables?
Yeah, 575. 575.
17, yeah.
Chris, in your last poem, did you have a reason for asking the question, is life still there?
Right.
Well, just because you don't know whether the guy was resting after a day in the field or was dead. There was no reason for him.
But you say cold, dead feet.
Well, okay, it's poetic license.
I feel the same way as she does.
Yeah.
That
Probably, yeah.
It jars the flow.
But again, I was trying to jar the flow because it was a disturbing picture, and I was trying to make a disturbing poem out of it.
But it seems like you've already made your mind up. They're dead feet, not just still
But you said it
feet.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that would
You
be
could
better.
leave that line out and it wouldn't hurt the poem at all, I don't think.
Yeah. In fact, you say, was his death noble or cowardly? So I think you've made your mind up.
After using the word dead 10 times, I think it's
fairly
probably-
unless you listen to spontaneous regeneration.
Not likely.
I like the way that at the end, I felt like I could go back to the beginning. Because you say, waiting in vain for dawn, the golden morning shining sweet and freshly green, flashing past and gone. You know, you could almost do the haiku at the beginning
The
and at the
haiku
end.
is a little more cheery though than the.
But that's what life is. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
life is
I like that.
There's another dawn.
Short and brutal and.
Yeah. Yeah.